easy job of finishing only 2 verses, which are very easy. And I want to so I will of course finish. What I want to do is just a little bit, when I was reflecting on what Pankaj was trying to say yesterday, and at that time I didn't quite understand what he was saying. But from my now, what I think is the point that he was trying to make. Now I could be wrong, but I think the point that he was trying to make is something which is important. See, when I gave the example of the person and then the dream and then the dream world, so one has to recognize this person. Which order of reality does this person belong to? Vyavaharika, the person, right? And what order of reality the dream belongs to? Pratibhasika, exactly, right? Now, when you transfer to the absolute reality, the consciousness, which order of reality it belongs to? Paramarthika, the absolute. And what this world is belongs to which order of reality? Vyavaharika. So this is the difference between the example of dream and the example of dream. Yeah. So one cannot totally see every example. No example can be exactly representing the reality because there is no such thing called reality. But examples are very important because they demonstrate something. So one has to see what are they demonstrating with reference to reality and where they don't apply. Only then you use examples correctly. Otherwise what happens is, you use the examples to prove like Atma is this, but actually you can't use the example to prove that Atma is this. Examples are meant to demonstrate, and that demonstration is with reference to one point alone. So you have to explicitly point out which point I am trying to demonstrate through this example and where this example doesn't work with reference to reality. Teacher has to do that job. Otherwise, people use very loose examples and then they use therefore logic to say therefore Atma is like this. This is faulty. So you can have so many different examples. You can say, yeah, eyes can see many, therefore Atma is... Hey, you can't give that example, you see. Examples don't demonstrate you, don't prove reality. But examples are an aid to demonstrating a certain point that you want to convey. So you have to use examples like that. And you also have to be able to figure out where the example falls short. My teacher was doing it all the time. Every other teacher just uses the example and then uses therefore logic and said, it is like this, therefore Atma is like this. There is no therefore logic there. So this is what one has to understand. I hope this is what you meant.
I was fumbling with words and you said it in one line.
So, and that is a very good point. So it is a good point, Pankaj. Now, I wanted Gabi to, because Gabi came up to me this morning and she said something that during meditation, she, something clicked, and what clicked was like 100% clarity. So I wanted to share, her to share with everyone, because she said it so clearly and so without jumble up. So that was very good. So please share with everyone.
It's about Atma, Ahankara and Buddhi.
Atma, Ahankara and Buddhi.
It's about this topic. Okay. So, what was always clear to me so far is that Atma and Ahankara, the relationship is that of Satyam and Mithya, and that Ahankara is an upadi to Atma. But this still is something which is kind of abstract, and I couldn't really relate this to my person, because it was just like getting some formula right, but it was not personal for me. And what was in my mind the last few days is always this changing, unchanging issue and thing, and this came up And what I often understood this morning, that is in my buddhi, okay, ahankara, every time I attribute I to something which is changing, be it my emotions or my thoughts or whatsoever, then I call it ahankara, which is an upadi to atma. And whenever I attribute the I to something which is unchanging, I call it atma. And as though there are two, atma and ahankara, there are no two, because it may seem that there are two parts, one is changing, one is not changing, but there are no two parts. It's just where I relate to, and it's the relationship of Satyam and Mithya. So wherever there is ahankara, there is atma as well, and this quality then changes altogether. While ahankara is something personal to me, to my body and my mind, atma becomes something impersonal, and it's always there with me.
It is personal, but it is not only confined to your body.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's not, impersonal means it's not a third thing.
No,
but
no,
it
no,
is,
no.
yeah, which is correct. What she's saying is absolutely right. This is a very good thing. See, this is the thing, that the words are used, but the words have to create their meanings for you. And you have to see the pramana operation means you use the words to see the reality for yourself. It's not to have some concepts and some theories. So this is a very good example of that. Very good.
So can I say that ahankara is very, very important
Yes.
for a mithya world?
Yes.
Because ahankara is our quality whereby whatever we do, whatever we think, we attach to it.
Yes.
And growing our knowledge, removing ignorance,
Yes.
that ahankara is basically atma.
Yes,
Much
exactly.
Yes.
The wise person is the one who does not, see, this is why destroying ego and all is not what Vedanta is talking about. That ahankara will remain. Only what, that before ahankara was for you the final entity. Now it is what, a mithya entity through which you operate. The final reality about you is what? Atma. So then, where there is mithya, there exactly there is satyam. This is what makes you wise person. And satyam doesn't change, mithya keeps changing. And mithya cannot, there are no two things, as she says, you know. It's not like one thing is satyam and the other thing is mithya. While mithya cannot exist without atma, atma is independent of being mithya. So then you can say, ahankara is atma, but atma is not ahankara. We generally, our problem is, we take atma as ahankara and ahankara as atma. There is no distinction. That distinction makes you wise, that's all. And that, what is remaining unchanging, as Gabi is saying, is not like your personal thing, only that belongs to you. It is the truth of everything. That unchanging reality is the truth of everything, including truth of Ishvara. So that was very good.
I had a very funny thought yesterday in terms of looking at why intelligence is not able, we are not able to see any intelligence from even a perceptible point of view.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that if you ask a bacteria or a virus within our system, can you see any intelligence in this whole body? It can't see other than many bacteria items and very random sort of thinking. But in the scale of that, you can't see. So if we were that in this universe, we would still not be able to see what is even actually available in the form of. We just think this is the biggest thing we have, rest are all stars and things. But if you think something to the magnitude from our side to, if we are the bacteria and some billion times bigger or brilliant times bigger, and it is actually something that exists in a huge form, you would still not be able to see it.
See, that of course it's absolutely true. And this is why we make a distinction. See, if you were able to see everything, you will become Ishvara. Because you will become all knowledge. This is why there are two upadhis. See, with the mind can't capture all the details of everything. If it was, then there will not be any difference between the Ishvara Upadhi and you Upadhi.
No, I was just trying to say that
it's not possible to see everything. So this is why even a wise person is not able to see all the details. Nobody is. So this is why when he solved the equation, what the tradition, because generally people imagine, oh, what is wise person like? So people think, oh, the wise person knows there is a complete identity with Ishvara, so the wise person will know every detail. So that's why they all flock to him, and this is the wise person may have a lot of clarity, but it doesn't mean the wise person knows every detail like Ishvara does. So this is why the whole equation is about, that the individual is what? Alpavit and Alpajna. Yeah, and what is Ishvara? Sarvavit and Sarvajna. Alpajnaha and Alpashaktiman. And here it is Sarvajnaha and Sarvashaktiman. So now Alpajnaha, and so on one side is what? Alpajnaha, and the other one is Sarvajnaha. Now, what happens to a wise person? The upadhis remain exactly as before. So here what they say is, the person who has understood the equation still remains Alpavit. Alpavit means you simultaneously don't know German, French, Hebrew and everything about everything. That nobody knows. And Ishvara is what? Not Alpavit, it is Sarvavit. That is the difference. In which time exists, space exists, everything is already arranged. All the knowledge that is there is with Ishvara. So where is the equation then? I am Alpavit and Ishvara is Sarvavit. Where is the equation? Equation is that Brahman, exactly. Which is what? Sarvajna. Sarvajna means it has neither attribute of little knowledge nor has attribute of all knowledge. It's free, and which is consciousness, without which both cannot exist. That is the point of resolution of equation. So when the wise person has resolved that equation, the wise person doesn't become what? Sarvavit. Sarvavit, the wise person doesn't become. Means the wise person doesn't know everything in detail. Otherwise what will happen? The wise person will simultaneously become a physicist, a biologist, a musician, any composition which is ever there, the person will know. Any painting which is ever there, the person will know. It's not like that. So this is how it is. That is the relationship. So Alpavit and Sarvavit. But they both resolve in Sarvajna. What is Sarvajna? Consciousness. So that means wise person knows, I am Alpavit and Sarvajna. Ishvara is Sarvavit and Sarvajna. This is what the person understands. And Sarvajna is the point of resolution of equation. Like 5 is the point. So this is something which is very important. Otherwise, this is where also, this is one of the catch, because if anybody has little bit more power than you, then people think, oh, this power, so this person must be, enlightened person must be like Ishvara. This is the mistake that people make. So the people select gurus based on that person having little more power. So that little more power means, oh, it's a different upadhi, and it must then be an upadhi of Ishvara. These are all the implicit logics. And it is not. A person who has little more power just has one little bit more power. That's all. Just little out of the range. And so many people have. You have all kinds of geniuses who have little more power than you. In sports, in everything, in any discipline, you'll have some people who operate very upside of the range or higher than the average range. That's no big deal. That doesn't make you Ishvara. So that has to be understood. So I will tell a story to demonstrate that. Power seems like such a fascinating thing, but actually it seems like a fascinating thing until the time that we little bit inquire into the reality of the power. So there are some 2-3 stories which are given to show you, demonstrate that how this power is no big deal. Yeah. So the first story is of a boatman, of a person. A person who, he feels that, okay, now I want to acquire some power. So he goes to another person and said, oh, I can make you walk on this water. So he's fascinated. He says, wow, people drown and I'm going to be able to walk on the water. So he spends 5 years very rigorously, there are some techniques which are available, learning from this master how to walk on the water. So he's very, very happy with it. So now he wants to show off, because now you feel you can do something more than what others can do. So he goes to a boatman, local boatman, and he says, so you know what, so the boatman says what? He says, you have to cross this river every day, right? He said, yes. He said, yeah, you need the help of the boat, right? He said, yeah, I need help of the boat. He says, I can do something. I can also cross the river, but I don't need the boat. What? Yeah, I can walk on the water. The the boatman felt, he didn't seem to be so convinced or whatever. So this guy says, you don't believe me, right? You're not like in awe or anything, so you don't believe me, so I'm going to show you. So this person starts walking on the water and then he comes back. Now when he comes back, he thought the boatman will be, wow, what a thing, So the boatman still was not very amused, but was not so fascinated. So he says, what? I just showed you. Before I thought that you didn't believe me. Now I showed you that I can walk on the water and you're still like, not fascinated and all. What's wrong with you? The boatman said, yeah, I saw you walking on the water. Then he said, then how long did you spend to learn this? He says, I spent 5 full years to learn this. The boatman said, oh, you spent 5 full years learning something which I can do so easily with a boat. You wasted 5 years of life. So this is how. Powers means we get all fascinated. They are all very relative. Right? Ask the same man. He said, if you really have power, stop tsunamis. Just little out of range and we feel all fascinated. And then it is so relative compared to the Ishvara that we are talking about.
The joke is a very small joke, very nice, same relevance. So the teacher is telling out the marks. She says, Peter, you have got 99% in mathematics. And she gives this. So Peter looks around and says, see, I'm very intelligent. And the teacher in the next statement, all the others have got 100%.
That is how it is. So therefore, this fascination for us is fascination, the mind is like that. It's very whimsical, it's very frivolous. Anything little bit extraordinary and our whole attention is captured there. And when our attention is captured in the small things which look so big to us, all the big things are missed out. So that means that's why objectivity is so important. Like any time you can go on a tangent and you think, oh, this is so big, this is so... yes, it has a place, but you give it so much more place than what it deserves. So that is what it is.
So I think again, ahankara plays major role there.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's why this preparing for Vedanta is an important thing, and that's exactly what is in the next verse. Here it says that now, in the previous verse, what was interesting is that Shvetashvatara got the knowledge, he became Vidwan with the help of rishis. And the rishis are about, they were very happy that one more person became a vidwan. But people, the students who were in line for learning, they also became what? Very happy that one more person has become what? A wise person. And one more person can what? Teach. So this is why, and this is how the teacher, when the teacher makes one more person a wise person, through that wise person what the teaching tradition continues. So that becomes a very important link, that person becomes an important link in the teaching tradition, and therefore the whole humanity gains. The whole humanity gains because, when as a result of the working of so many people, you got it. Now you transfer it to even one person, and even if that person doesn't get it fully but just partially, the person will start changing. Even that partial knowledge will bless you and somehow will help you in your day-to-day transaction. And by that change, how many other people will benefit? So many others. So that means, this is how people ask me, hey, how many people have you influenced? I don't know. Because you can't count. And in fact, almost every day I get emails that, oh, I've been listening to you on the web. Now I don't even know who they are. I have never met them. They have never met me. The knowledge is there. And it is there for everyone. It's like Ganga. Ganga flows. Whoever wants to take a dip can take a dip. This is how it is. Really, this Ganga is amazing. That is why we call it Jnana Ganga, like perennial flow of knowledge. And whoever is lucky will have a chance to take a dip. So this is how it is. And the water, this water which is right now, is it the water which was 100 years ago? No. So the teachers keep changing. Teachers keep changing. But the knowledge remains. But only when you have, through some grace, when the knowledge is transferred fully, you become what? Part of this Jnana Ganga. Now it is for the seeker to recognize who is the one who is part of this Jnana Ganga and who is still getting there. That, and that, as I said, there is some natural selection also. Now, here it says, now the next verse, it says, Vedante paramam guhyam pura kalpe prachoditam na aprashantaya datavyam na aputraya ashishyaya vapunaha. This is a very sacred knowledge. It's a very kind of an intricate knowledge, and you need what? Preparation. You can't indiscriminately give it to anybody. So for a long, people, now every statement that is made, always there is a possibility of what? A counter question. Why do you want to keep this knowledge away from people? People can benefit so much from this knowledge. Why do you consciously say that I am not going to give it to a non-deserving person? See, there are, we ask these questions with reference to Vedanta, but we don't ask these questions with reference to, now imagine you go to Mozart and you don't know ABCD of music. Is he going to take you as your student? And this is in everything. So that means he may potentially take you, but what will he say? First go and learn what? I know Surya wanted to learn music when we were in Chennai for a while, and he went to a very good artist, and he knew Swamiji. So he was very nice because we knew him from before and quite a famous person. Then he told Surya, yeah, I don't mind teaching you, but next time you come and you see me, you sing one song. You prepare a song and you sing.
Classical.
Classical. is how it is in everything. And you try to go to Harvard and
I
study.
didn't go back to Ahmad.
He didn't go back.
In fact, it was easy because we moved. We moved back to Bangkok. So I didn't have to take the
And now we know who is singing next in the evening class.
This is very similar to what you said. Now go to Rameshwaram and come
And
back.
come back, exactly. So this is how it is, right? I mean, it's a nice way of saying, yes, I'll teach you, provided what you're prepared for it. So this is something which is, you try to go to some of these top universities in the US, try to go to one of these Ivy League schools. See how much they grill you before they give you an admission. Not like, yeah, whoever wants to walk in can walk in. For every knowledge, there is a corresponding preparation. There's nothing exclusive about Vedanta. And in fact, this is what, and this is why this knowledge, see, the teacher can see most of the time, in fact almost all the time, the teacher can see the preparedness of a student. Almost always. Like Swamiji said, and the minute somebody walks into my room, I know whether this person is going to do 3.5-year course or is just coming to meet me, or and even if this person is going to come to 3.5-year course, how much will that person learn? It's just like out of some clarity about how just talking 5 minutes the person can, by what you say you reveal yourself, whether you realize or not. When most of the time we all are so clouded, we don't have the capacity to see through. But the more you become clear, more you have capacity to see through. So this is why, now that can be scary, but it is also very good. Because then what Swamiji can guide that person properly. So this is where, now, the only difference between him and everybody else is what? They have some criteria. The criteria, the traditional teachers have a criteria. And those criteria are not personalized criteria. That means, if you're a male or if you're a Brahmin, then yes. That means that when the person walks in, you don't study the person. You try to see whether it belongs to that box or not. Swamiji was different. He says that Brahmin is just a name for what somebody, representation. What is a representation? Somebody who's sattvic. So I am not looking for Brahmana label. I am looking for who? Somebody who's sattvic. And even if the person is not sattvic, he says, it's my challenge, I will make the person sattvic. So he said that it is like you have a stone, like a sculptor has a stone, completely raw. Nothing, no shape, no aesthetics, no nothing. Just one lump. What does a sculptor do? He chips here. The stone is just a stone. Chips here, chips there, here, little bit here, little bit here. And what comes out is what? A beautiful sculpture. He says, this is what my job. This is what my job is. Take a raw person and what? Shape the person. Somebody requires more chopping and more fixing. Somewhat requires a little less. But that's my job as a teacher. So I want to make, if already beautiful human beings come and you have to just what? There is no challenge. But if all kinds of stones come to you and you can, all different grades, and all of them if you make beautiful, then what?
Then you are a true person can make any sculpture.
Your skills are what?
Enhanced.
Enhanced. So he said, there is one rule that I have in my life. Whoever comes to me, I don't reject them. Whoever. Because he said, according to the laws of Ishvara, unless that person kind of deserves me, the person will not be sent to me. It's not possible to come to me. Because why is it possible to come to me? He says, because I'm not like one of these gurus who appears on TV channels. I'm not one of these gurus which has posters everywhere. That means a person who comes to me has made some effort. It's very easy to, when TV, then what you can flock. So I do it purposely. Person has to make some effort to find me. And if that person has come, then I don't reject the person. That is how he operated. Because he saw what the Ishvara as an order in that person coming to him, and also he saw it as a challenge for him to shape the person. So that means you don't judge people. Even though you are very lucid about where they are, because in order for you to sculpt them well, you have to be realistic about where they are at this point. If you start flying, you can't sculpt. You have to be lucid and at the same time non-judgmental. You have to see how people are and at the same time not fall into judgments. And help them to see little more and little more and little more in the capacity of a teacher. So this is what. But in any case, if one is somehow coming, but if the person is totally not prepared, what happens? The person himself or herself just drops out. So one thinks, I don't even need to do anything. The same order which brought him or her to me, the same order will what? Take him or her away from me. While the person is there, I have to what? Help the person see. That's my job. So this is how this whole, but it is for sure that there is a natural selection. Natural selection is very much necessary because imagine if you are not prepared and you start using Vedanta and you start abusing it. And still people do it. So many of them do it sometimes knowingly, sometimes helplessly. So how do they do it? They use parts of Vedanta which are convenient to them, and they forget about parts of Vedanta which require work. So Brahman part, wonderful, I am limitless. Dharma part, too much trouble. Mithya. Dharma part mithya, emotion part mithya. Then when the situations arise, then what? You are operating by emotions. You lose your lucidity. And you said anyway, and you justify. Emotions are mithya. And based on those emotions, you perform actions. I am a jnani. I am a Atma. My results, I am an akarta. My results will not, my actions will not produce any results. And this is how the person keeps justifying. Abuse, whether it is financial abuse, it's a physical abuse, all kinds of things happen. all kinds of things happen. And that is because what the person is not prepared. I mean, or the person, in fact, when nobody goes 100% prepared to a teacher, a lot of work has to be done while you are learning. All of us have to make effort because nobody went with perfect emotions, nobody went with 100% understanding of intricacies of dharma, nobody. But either you can use the teaching to refine yourself and take care of it, or you can use the teaching to what? Somehow go into. Absolutely. So that means it's a failure of the person. The teacher can be absolutely brilliant, but the failure of person to use it intelligently. But what happens is, even if the person enjoys some kind of a glory for a short while, the person is incurring a lot of papa. Lot. Without understanding really, without even taking of dharma, you take position of a person who knows it all and then use that position to abuse papa. This is why one day on internet something is exposed, on newspaper something else is exposed. This is all about culmination of papa resulting to all of that. And this is a seen result. Unseen result, what will happen? You don't even know. You can't fool Ishvara. You neither can bypass Ishvara, nor you can fool Ishvara if you want to know the truth of Ishvara. That's your truth. So that's why this not preparedness is even while being in a class. If you use, this is why very emphatically sometimes teachers have to make a point. Because the mind's tendency is to do easy things and forget about difficult things. This easy, the getting comfortable with easy thing is not necessarily the best way to for personal growth. So this is why your willingness to deal with uncomfortable is so important in that preparedness. So that is how this preparedness is, without this, knowledge cannot bless, So, teacher takes one's own precautions, and a lot of it is also what students' responsibility too. Yeah. Now, here he says, final verse is about the Guru. He says, Yasya deve para bhaktihi yatha deve tatha guru tasya ete kathita hi artha prakashante mahatmana. For whom this Vedanta will bless. Vedanta Shastra will bless which person? Who? So here he says, Yasya Deve Parabhakti. The one who has what? Complete what? Devotion to Ishvara. Devotion to Ishvara, as I told you, the definition of devotion has to change. You can't define devotion as only going to the temple, only doing some bhajans. This is not, please understand, it's not devotion. It is one form of the devotion, but it is not the only way that one relates to Ishvara. So that means your attitude towards everything. Your attitude towards what? Vidya, knowledge. Knowledge means not only Vedanta knowledge, but also any other knowledge. If you keep on telling yourself only Vedanta knowledge is the knowledge, every other knowledge is all what? It's all material knowledge. You are away from Ishvara. You haven't understood what is Ishvara. Ishvara, when we see it from the standpoint of the physical arrangement, we call it what? Physics. Ishvara, when we see it from the standpoint of how the plants work, we call it what? Botany. Ishvara, when we see it from the standpoint of our own body and how it works, we call it physiology. Ishvara, as we see it from the standpoint of how our mind works, we call it psychology. So that means there is no material knowledge and spiritual knowledge. Every knowledge is one manifestation of Ishvara, and this knowledge, through this knowledge you get what? Total understanding of Ishvara. That is the difference. But doesn't make that one as lowly, and that these attitudes have to change. If your devotion to Ishvara is to be complete, you need to understand total of Ishvara, and all your attitudes have to change. Your attitude towards aesthetics, oh, this is all engaging in material world. No, this is manifestation of Ishvara. Beauty is so much manifestation of Ishvara. You look at this moon and the reflection of the moon over the water, it is the beauty that will capture, it will captivate you. The Himalaya peaks that your dad showed yesterday, beautiful. There's beauty. And the beauty inspires you. And it's a physical beauty. Don't say it's some spiritual beauty, it's a physical beauty. That in that physical beauty, Ishvara is manifesting. This division of, it's amazing. It's actually quite amazing. How many times I say that there is no real division between the so-called division that we make between material and spiritual. Right after the class, somebody comes to me and uses the word material. So that means the knowledge does not penetrate. The meanings, the words reach, but the meanings corresponding meanings are not created. So many times it happens. Our teacher, being a genius like him, and sometimes his students were all of all different categories. I'm sure he was feeling frustrated because his intellect was so fine, and you have somebody who is so dumb. So what? Nobody, but just sometimes, yeah. So I don't want to suggest anything. What he used to make fun. What I want to say is he used to make jokes. So because how you have to release, because generally what happens, it becomes, so then you have to put yourself in a humorous mode. That humor is a nice way to get rid of tension. Otherwise we take it all too seriously. So he used to tell a joke. He says there was a Pandit and he was teaching Ramayana. So he says that first day, it was a 9-day talk, and first day there were like 20 people. Then the second day, 18. And then the third day, 50. So, the crowd started dwindling. There was one person who always came on time and sat in the first row and sat like really with a lot of interest. So while the crowds were dwindling, the person was just totally punctual from the beginning till the end, looking and listening very attentively. So the teacher at least says, okay, now other crowd is dwindling and all, doesn't matter, at least one person I'm able to teach Ramayana to. So he was feeling very good. You know the story?
I can imagine.
You can imagine. Okay. So then he said, okay, at least I have to congratulate myself that to one person I communicated fully, and he listened properly, and he was interested, he was not sleeping, he was sitting in